the crypto curator, and I've got a show lined up for you talking about some of the stuff that just sort of grinds me a little bit. But before I get into that, let me thank our sponsor, Roundly X. Folks, listen, head over to roundlyx.com, put in the code Bitcoin Politics. You're going to get $4 in Bitcoin. It's one of the best ways to actually stack sats because anytime you make a purchase, it's going to round that purchase up, hence Roundly X, to the next nearest dollar, and that's going to be done in Satoshi. So if you do that for me, I'll really appreciate it. And now let's get on with the show. All right, folks, listen, it shouldn't be a surprise to any of you that have been watching my show or been following me on social, now that I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I'm just on WooBits. My absolute I can't stand it, drives me crazy, the whole ESG narrative and how politicians deal with Bitcoin mining. So listen, I'm going to kick this right off, diving right in head first. And there was an article came out earlier this week, and it was talking about the Democrats. And I'm not trying to make this partisan at all. So please, if you're on either side of the aisle, I really don't care. But I'm just stating the facts. Democrats are once again pushing this issue with two of the state's regulators, the Energy Department and also the EPA. And they're trying to say that they need to understand what's going on with Bitcoin mining. And of course, it's Elizabeth Warren, as we all know, and I'm sure there's some motivation for why she's pushing this, but she's got, 7 other colleagues, both in the Senate and in the House, writing letters to the EPA and to the Energy Department asking about crypto mining. Now, this is a sort of blurb from the letter that it said. It said the urgency, and this is what makes me laugh a little bit, and it sort of frustrates me too at the same time, but the urgency of the climate crisis, really? Combined with the rapid growth of crypto mining in the US, okay, I agree with you, we do have rapid growth there, that it dictates a comprehensive mandatory disclosure and data collection regime. In my next slide, we're going to talk about this a little bit. We're already doing this, right? And so I think that there is definitely political motivation, but there's something that probably is in the rule set that they have to sort of do this kind of stuff because it just doesn't make sense. Anybody's paying attention to Bitcoin mining know better. They go on and say, we therefore urge your agencies to work together to address the lack of information about crypto mining, energy use, and environmental impacts, and require mandatory reporting of this information from crypto miners as rapidly as possible. Now, I want to encourage any of you who live in these states to please reach out to these folks and voice your concern about this. If you have concern, maybe you guys are just okay letting these folks say and do what they want. But remember, they work for you, right? And I don't say that in a nasty, ugly way, but it's true. They work for us. We're the people. They're the representatives. They're representing us in Congress. And so we should let our voice be heard and reach out to these folks. Thank God none of these people are in Texas, because if they were, I would be on the phone. I'd probably and definitely write them emails because I don't do email. But shout out them on Twitter. Well, I don't use Twitter either. So the point is that I'll reach out to them. So if you're in Massachusetts, please talk to Elizabeth Warren. Talk to Edward Markey. If you are in Rhode Island, talk to Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. Talk to Senator Jeff Merkley if you're in Oregon. And I know, Gerald Vata, if you're watching, you're in Oregon. Talk to your senator, man. All right, the representatives in California, lots of you Californians, right? Jared Huffman and Katie Porter. And if you're in Michigan, Rashid Tlaib. And if you're in Illinois, Richard Durbin. Listen, Democrats, you got to get it together. Are you not paying attention to what's going on in New Hampshire? Are you not paying attention to what's going on in Texas? Are you not paying attention to what's going on in Mississippi? Obviously, you guys aren't. Because if you were, you wouldn't be doing stuff like this and saying stuff. So here's the thing. This is why I'm so hyped about this. Because Micheal Saylor has commissioned the Bitcoin Mining Council And they are addressing this. Now, this is a video of the Q4 report, and you can go to their YouTube channel. They have multiple quarters where they've been reporting this information for over a year and a half. Elizabeth Warren and Democrats, are you guys not watching this? You should. And if no one has sent this to you, they should. I know I've mentioned it to you on Twitter when I was on Twitter, because they've been doing this for a year and a half. And in these reports that they're doing, they're giving you all the information. So let's take a look at what they said in this Q4 executive report. So here's the first thing you have to understand. The Bitcoin Mining Council comprised of 53 mining companies. This is over half of the industry. What do you want, Democrats? I mean, come on. This is half of the industry reporting on information, the same information that you guys said that you wanted to have, right? You said that you wanted to address the lack of information about crypto mining energy use, their environmental impacts, and they want that to be mandatory. Well, these guys are doing it every quarter, and it's mandatory for them, okay? Because they're already putting it out there. So tell the EA, tell the Department of Energy to talk to the Bitcoin Mining Council. Voila, issue is done, right? Here's the thing that you guys need to understand. Bitcoin mining uses an inconsequential amount of global energy, 17 BPS, and it generates negligible carbon emissions, 11 BPS. So what's the problem with Bitcoin mining? There should not be a problem with Bitcoin mining. Why? Because it's inconsequential. Anyone talking about how much of an energy suck Bitcoin mining is do not understand the issue, okay? Bitcoin mining hash rate is up 45% year over year, while what? Energy usage is up 25% year over year, but that's due to an increase in efficiency of 16%. If the hash rate was rising 45%, the energy usage should have went up is just as much if it was using a lot of energy, but they're operating very efficiently. And then Bitcoin is the industry leader in sustainability with a 58.9% sustainability energy mix. What's the problem? I don't get it. So again, if you're in those states, I mean, I can reach out to them, and they'll probably tell me we're not going to listen to you. Why? Because I'm not their constituent. But you are their constituent. This is where Bitcoiners need to understand. Your voice matters when it comes to political issues. And if you're going to remain silent, you're going to let these representatives just run wild. If I were talking to Liz Warren, I say, shut this crap down right now. There's no need to do this. You should go talk to the Bitcoin Mining Council. Micheal Saylor, I'm sure, would be happy to provide you the information. They're already doing it on YouTube. And it's the information that they've asked for. So what more do they need? Now, if they want all 100% of the mining companies to do this, then allow the market to handle this. Let the Bitcoin Mining Council reach out to the remaining half of the industry and say, guys, come on board and give us this information. Voila, problem solved. No, it's overreach. It's government being government, and that's unfortunate. Now, New Hampshire, there was news that came out today that said New Hampshire is on the verge of becoming a national leader in cryptocurrency and alternatives to the Bahamas if its legislature follows through on recommendations made by a commission appointed by the governor, Chris Sununu, right? You could see New Hampshire come in play, and therefore crypto companies don't have to go offshore. They could stay right here in the States, and they can have a state that's friendly to cryptocurrencies, right? In addition to Texas and Florida and Mississippi. And you see what I'm saying? These states are coming around at a state level. We're getting on board to make running this industry possible without overdoing legislation and overdoing regulation. There's no need for it. Still a nascent industry, 14 years old. It's still growing, still maturing. It's a teenager now. Soon it'll be a young adult. And when it is, it's going to be really good. And they're going to understand that. If you remember, I believe it was New Hampshire. I don't think it was Massachusetts. No, it definitely wasn't. It said that they're going to make it possible, like Texas, to allow Bitcoin mining to help with the energy grid. And you're going to see that later on as I talk about it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to talk about it right now on the next slide. Texas. Wonderful state of Texas. This is why I love Texas. You guys should move. Everybody come to Texas. Just come to Texas. Okay, we want to be our own country anyway. We'll be the state, not United States, just the state. But the Texas power grid is struggling. Republican Senator Ted Cruz, not a huge fan of him, but Ted Cruz, he's my senator, thinks Bitcoin has the power to fix it. ERCOT, that's our energy provider. And if you know anything about Texas, you know Texas does things differently. And so what did Texas do? Texas shunned the rest of the country and said, we're going to run our own energy grid and we're going to call it ERCOT, right? And so when we got shut down from the ice storm, we learned really big how to have just one energy provider in the entire state. Never mind that. But anyway, ERCOT powers about 90% of our state. And to run smoothly, the grid requires a perfect balance of supply. Bitcoin fixes this, right? Why? Again, I talked about this the last Bitcoin politics show. You guys might not remember, but I'll go over it again. Here's the thing. These energy producers produce energy at the load that they need, right? So if, let's just say all the people using energy, ERCOT's trying to meet that demand. And so they're going to produce enough energy to meet that demand. But what happens when demand spikes due to an ice storm? They have to now try to ramp up production. Well, if they ramp up production and demand drops, guess what? Now they've got to drop production. This process is incredibly inefficient. It's hard for them to do so. But what happens if they can ramp up production up here? This is normal consumption, normal demand, but Bitcoin miners take up the rest of that, right? Guess what happens when demand spikes? Guess what? They don't have to do anything about their production. They can just tell the Bitcoin miners, shut down. And the Bitcoin miner shuts down, dropping it, and they can leave the production up here, allowing that room. It's incredibly smart. And this is what the power of Bitcoin mining can do for any state in the country. Globally, it can do this, and it helps the power producers. Nuclear is finding this as well. Nuclear, well, they could run nuclear forever, right? I was on a nuclear-powered submarine. Listen, the only thing that stopped us from coming up to get air was the fact that we needed food. Otherwise, we could stay submerged forever with nuclear power, because that's the way nuclear is. And so, and if you've been watching What Bitcoin Did, he's doing an incredibly series with a lot of nuclear experts, and they're talking about nuclear power. Nuclear power is clean, and nuclear power is great. So listen, Bitcoin mining fixes all the power producers' problems. Congress, get with it, get with it. Okay, now let's take Mississippi. Mississippi today came out, and the lawmakers have passed a new law establishing a framework for protecting Bitcoin miners in the state. This is the way you do it, Democrats. And again, not trying to be partisan, but had Republicans had signed on to that letter, I'd be saying Republicans too. I say all Congress, but apparently the Democrats have a problem with Bitcoin mining and energy consumption. This whole ESG narrative, it's a farce. It's not true. Don't pay attention to it. Bitcoin mining is not the hog that most people think when it comes to energy consumption. I digress. Back to Mississippi, right? They are doing something that's very smart. Now, who's the driver behind this? It is Dennis Porter. Dennis Porter and Satoshi Action Fund have been going state to state to talk to state representatives to get them to understand, and this is not the federal level, this is the state level, to understand the power of Bitcoin mining. And now Mississippi's on board. I believe Missouri is also in the process of passing the same law. And if they do, that's going to be great. Listen, if we got to go state by state, folks, let's do it state by state. And let's just keep doing it at the local level. The feds will catch up at some point, right? All right. So as we talk about Bitcoin all the time, Bitcoin's freedom, that's my show on Sundays. I hope you guys tune in and catch that show, because I do talk about the fact that Bitcoin is freedom and why you should have some Bitcoin. And if not some Bitcoin, you should have some Satoshis. But listen, if you happen to get some Satoshis or you happen to get some Bitcoin, that next slide with self-custody, as a matter of fact, that was an article came out today and said that there's, I forget the number of how much is being self-custody, but let me pull up my brief for today and I'll tell you guys real fast. Give me a second, because I do want to say this number. There you go. It says that analytic firm Sentiment forecast imminent Bitcoin and altcoin rally as self-custody Bitcoin explodes to over $4 billion. You didn't hear that as a mistake. Over $400 billion is being self-custody. Down to the Bitcoin, which look at what that is right now. Market cap. Let's see. Coin market cap. So Bitcoin's market cap right now is 434 billion. So it's about, 10%, no, not 10, 1%, 1% of the market cap. So the fact that we're having that much money being, no, I got my numbers all wrong. Don't listen to me, guys. Because that's 400 billion. If that's like almost the market cap of Bitcoin, 400 billion. Yeah. So I don't think 400 billion is either an accurate number or else the market cap is not an accurate number. But is that Bitcoin self-custody loading, and that's something that we need to do. And Unchained Capital is a company that can help you self-custody your Bitcoin. Do not listen. Oh, self-custody is so hard you can't do it. Not true. If you're an individual, not true. Just go to Unchained. If you're technically savvy, they can help you do it, no cost. If you're not, they can help you do it at a small fraction amount. The point is self-custody, self-custody, self-custody. Okay. I am going to talk about some of the other news that are dealing with regulation, whether that's here at home or abroad. And I do want to cover some of this news with you guys because it is interesting to see the regulatory landscape and how it's starting to shape up now. We're moving away from legislators to the actual regulators. So the first up is the SEC, right? The SEC to up their scrutiny of firms offering or giving advice about crypto. Regulatory crunch or shutdown or whatever you call it, it's coming, guys. The fight is here. They're going to start trying to clean up crypto, and this is one of the ways they're doing it. The SEC is going to become tougher and tougher than anyone in crypto. The second bullet point says, SEC convince a court it's right to label these tokens as security. If you know what that's about, that's the manager from Coinbase that was dealing with some insider trading, yada, yada. The tokens that he was dealing with, they're saying they were securities. And so this is an article that was just questioning that. In addition, the SEC is warning that retirement accounts, crypto stakes, may be unregistered securities. So they're just, again, trying to prep the public. Guys, listen, if you're dealing with this stuff, you're dealing with unregistered securities, and you just need to be aware of that. And then Consensus released a statement of support for continuation of the Jarrett tax case. And I think I touched on this a little bit on Sunday, maybe, or maybe it was last week. I actually know it was on my Instagram live. So this is really important too, folks. Listen, if the Jarretts win this case, this is going to have huge implications for me and you both. Listen, if you've been putting Bitcoin on these CeFi platforms, which are now gone bankrupt and it's just horrible, but BlockFi, Celsius, Voyager, right? And you were earning yield in the asset in which you staked, like I staked Bitcoin and I got Bitcoin as a yield, technically that should not have counted against me on taxes because I received it, but I didn't cash it out, right? So that's just like someone saying they gave me Bitcoin, right? And so where's the capital gain for that? But because the way the laws are written today, if you receive yield, you have to pay capital gains on that. If the Jarretts win this case, and this was a Tezos case, if they win this case, this could have broad implications for everybody. So please keep your eye on the Jarrett tax case big time. All right, let's move internationally now, and let's take a look at what's going on. And there's a lot going on internationally that I think a lot of people are not aware of, at least when we zoom in, if we're really close to it. If you zoom out, you go, wow, I didn't realize that much was going on. So CoinGecko and 21 Shares, they're proposing global crypto classification standard. They were saying this could have broad implications because for the first time, maybe where there's a global standard when dealing with crypto. The UK crypto firms and regulator blame each other for industry exodus, right? Pointing the finger. You've got the UK financial regulator, FCA, is warning firms of jail time for unauthorized ads. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to do what they did back in the early days. Remember when Coinbase not Coinbase, remember when Google and I forgot who else was, but they were shutting down all ads. Like you could not run a crypto ad. And so that's what that's about. And so now they're starting to say that there's jail time if you are in fact running an ad. Italy is setting up crypto environment that meets EU's new laws, central bank governor says, and in Dubai, they're mandating licensing for crypto companies as it sets out regulatory requirements. So over in the UK, Italy, which is part of the Europe, and then Dubai, they're all trying to regulate the space. Now, in addition to that, in South America, Argentina's National Security Commission they're setting requirements and rules for crypto companies. And then Kazakhstan, their president signed legislation to limit energy usage of crypto mining. And again, here we go with this crypto mining issue and the fact that, again, and maybe in these countries, maybe they have a problem with energy production. And if that's the case, maybe the fact that crypto mining is starting to eat up some of that energy, I get that. Maybe that's what's driving some of these countries to sort of do it. I think that was China's problem, even though they didn't come out and directly say that. Maybe the fact that Bitcoin miners were consuming energy that they couldn't produce, and as a result, they need to shut down crypto miners. That's a totally different story. I can understand from that perspective. But here's the other thing. What other industries are consuming the same, or if not more energy, and why aren't they trying to shut those industries down? Again, probably trying to take the low-hanging fruit. In South Korea, they're issuing guidelines for regulating security tokens as legislation looms. And in Hong Kong, securities regulators adds crypto personnel for industry supervision. So as you can see, globally, people are handling each one of these areas differently. There are so many areas when you look at the crypto industry that it's hard to sort of pinpoint what's going on. So I think it's important that we keep our eye on regulation, keep our eye on legislation, do our part by speaking to folks when we get an opportunity, and then I think that'll help overall. But again, Bitcoin and politics is important. And again, I'm trying to stay away from any of the crypto stuff because this really isn't about crypto. This really is about Bitcoin and politics. And I think that if Bitcoin can get in front of the right folks that are in power, they'll get it. You know, I was listening to a podcast and was listening to the individual who orange pilled Micheal Saylor, and his name is skipping me right now. But one of the things he said that after he talked to Micheal Saylor, and when Micheal Saylor came back the second time and he got it, he really got it, right? And so sometimes it requires the message to be said multiple times to these legislators and regulators for them to truly get it. Now, if you listen to any of the stuff that I just covered, not once did it really talk about Bitcoin itself. Yes, we're dealing with the mining stuff, of course, but Bitcoin itself, there's not much regulation. You know why? Bitcoin is the only decentralized censorship-resistant technologies on the planet, and there's really nothing they can do about it. What are you going to do? Shut down all the exchanges? Good luck on that one. Not going to happen, right? What are you going to do? Shut down the internet? Not going to happen. What are you going to do? You know, there's nothing that they can do, and this is the issue, and this is why Bitcoin matters, because if CBDCs come into play, and we're going to be talking about CBDCs on Sunday, you're not going to want to miss that show. Myself, our producer, Nick, along with, I believe, Style Pigeon, and maybe even Purple Suede, will all get on Sunday, and we're going to talk about CBDCs because there's been a lot that's been happening. I don't want to do it today, but the point that I'm making is there is a parallel economy being built. Right? You've got what's ultimately going to become CBDCs, and you got Bitcoin. And Bitcoin gives us the ability to opt out peacefully from this nonsense that's going to go on with CBDCs. And we all know the nonsense is coming. It's just a matter of time, right? Will it happen soon, or will it happen in the next 5 years? Most likely the next 5 years. Listen, there's no legislation that's going to come out anytime soon about CBDCs, especially here in the States. Now, we know China's doing theirs. Again, I don't want to get too far. Let me stop there. Let me end this show up, and I want to wrap it up because thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate the fact you guys are watching. Hopefully, I'm giving you some information and highlighting things that you might not have thought about. But if you go to my website, cryptocurator.com, you will see all the links and how to get in contact, all that stuff right there, right? Because every day I'm putting the 3 top news articles on there that's getting the most coverage on the website. The reason I do that is to help you guys see what most publications are really reporting on. And as you can see, one of the big stories today was local Bitcoins. They're shutting down. there's an issue there, right? Why are they shutting down? Because of the regulatory scrutiny that they have to face, and the fact that we're in crypto winter, they just don't have the ability to fight anymore. And boom, they're out of the game. Don't let this happen to the rest of the stuff, right? On there, I also put the video of the day, podcast of the day, and then my 2 shows that's at the bottom. So you can always get to my shows if you go to my website. So if you're confused on YouTube, can't find it, just go to my website, you'll get to our shows. Our producer is doing a phenomenal job at doing so. The great thing about Bitcoin Live, not only am I bringing you information about politics, bringing you information about freedom in Bitcoin, we got, Style Pigeon and Purple Suede. Those guys are bringing you stuff about Web3, NFTs, things like that. Likewise with Bitcoin Live itself. So Bitcoin Live has a multiple amount of shows covering a wide range of topics and issues that's hopefully giving you guys some really good information, trusted information, and valuable information. So definitely want to subscribe and ring the bell for Bitcoin Live. That way you can be notified when we come on air. My show is always going to be at 1 o'clock Central Standard Times on Thursdays and Sundays without fail. Sometimes I take them off because sometimes there's just not really a lot of information for me to cover with you guys, and there's no need for me to jump on if I don't have anything. But this article about the Democrats really fired me up because, again, this whole conversation about ESG, it's dumb in Bitcoin. Don't fall for it, guys. Talk to your representatives. Please talk to your representatives. Whoever's up in Massachusetts, and I know there's got to be a lot of Bitcoiners in Massachusetts. Guys, you should be knocking on Senator Warren's door. And if you do that, I'll thank you. Hey, you'll thank you. All right. Finally, I will say, if you want to engage with me throughout the day, check out WooBits. Guys, Twitter, I'm done with it. It's too much. It's like a political cesspool over there anyway, and just a bunch of people jacking. WooBits is real people making real connections and having real conversations. In addition, if you are a creator, you can actually monetize your work on WooBits, and it's better than I'm trying to think of some of these platforms now. Yeah, I can't think of them. They're all skipping my mind. But if you're trying to monetize your content and what you produce, check out WooBits. The people there, they're engaged, they're locked in, and they're ready. So don't miss WooBits. That's WUBITS.com. Check them out. All right. Hey, producer, thank you for doing the show. I really appreciate it. I'm going to let you guys go. I wanted to make this one short and sweet. Didn't want to drag it on. But again, the message, if you take nothing away from today, talk to your representatives, specifically those representatives that are Democrats, Massachusetts, Illinois, Rhode Island, and I'm going to forget the last one, California. Yes, I couldn't forget California. Go talk to them. You guys have a great day and have a good weekend. Come back Sunday. See you soon.